Date 2. My dad doesn't buy me food, so I look for a job to eat at 14. But when my stepmother demands that I pay rent, I call the person who leaves them without food. So I took the advice that most of you gave me and told my stepmother straight up that I wasn't going to pay rent. This happened last Friday when I got home from work. She and my dad were sitting in the living room watching TV, and I confronted them right there. I told them they had no right to ask me to pay my share when I wasn't even allowed to eat their food. I explained that I was working just to keep myself from starving and to cover my school expenses, which my dad never cared about. With that, I went to my room, thinking maybe it would make them see reason, but things only got worse. Hannah has started leaving me lists of things she wants me to buy: groceries, cleaning supplies, whatever she thinks is my responsibility. She smiles sweetly when she hands them to me, saying that since I'm not paying rent, this is the least I can do and that I need to do my part. But it didn't stop there. She's even making me clean the house and do the laundry. When I get home, I find the kitchen a mess, a pile of dishes waiting for me, and everyone's dirty clothes. I didn't protest. As long as they leave me alone, I don't mind doing a little extra work. But no matter how much I do, it's never enough. If I clean, she criticizes how I did it, saying I must have missed a spot or that I didn't do it right. Every task has to be repeated until she's satisfied. To be honest, it seems like she enjoys watching me suffer. She's even started snooping through my things whenever I'm not home, taking whatever money she finds and saying it's for rent. She even went through my backpack and took the food I bought from the store, saying it was unfair for me to keep things for myself while living in her house. My dad, as always, stays out of it. Every time I try to talk to him about how unfair all of this is, he either avoids the conversation or tells me to listen to Hannah. It's like he's completely disconnected, leaving me to deal with everything alone. At this point, school has become impossible to focus on. Between my shifts at the store, the constant chores, and Hannah's demands, I'm exhausted all the time. My grades are starting to drop, but when my teachers ask if everything is okay, I don't know what to say. How do I explain that my dad married a woman who treats me like a servant, and that I'm afraid I'll be kicked out if I don't do what she says? I just told them I was overwhelmed and that I'd eventually catch up, but I'm not even sure I believe that myself. There are nights when I think about running away, imagining what it would be like to pack my things and just disappear. But then I realize the reality: I have nowhere to go. I have no family I can turn to, and my friends' parents wouldn't be able to take me in for long. Even with the little money I earn, I can't afford to rent a place on my own. I feel trapped, with no way out. Last night, after Hannah yelled at me for folding the laundry wrong, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried silently. I hated crying. It felt like giving up, but I was so tired of the constant pressure, the loneliness, and the feeling that no matter what I did, it would never be enough. I couldn't see a way out of this, and the thought scared me more than anything. This morning, despite everything, I dragged myself back to school and then to work, hoping to get through another shift without breaking down. I don't know how much longer I can keep going like this, but giving up isn't an option. If I stop working, I won't have money for food, and if I don't have food, I have nothing. Somehow, I keep going. I just keep moving forward. I tell myself I just need to survive long enough for things to change. Maybe eventually, Hannah will lose interest in tormenting me. Maybe my dad will come to his senses. But all of this is starting to weigh on me, and I don't know what to do. If I agree to pay rent, I'll have nothing left for myself. How will I afford food, let alone school expenses? I can't believe what has happened in the last few days. I feel like my whole world has turned upside down, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything. I never thought it would come to this, but something inside me broke last night. After months of pretending everything was fine, working, cleaning, surviving, I realized I just couldn't keep doing it. Hannah's constant complaints, my dad's indifference, and the never-ending exhaustion left me feeling completely hopeless. But what happened next changed everything. It all started when I found out that Hannah had gone through my backpack. Yes, again. This time, she took the tips I'd earned for my shift. That was the last straw. At this point, guys, this has become absolutely unbearable. I confronted my dad and Hannah in the living room, just like that. I was furious because they had stolen from me, and all Hannah did was laugh and say, "Don't be such a baby," and that she did it to help her husband. She constantly tries to paint me as a bad son, and do you want to know the worst part of all of this? My dad just sat there in silence, pretending he didn't hear a word. That night, after crying in my room for hours, I finally made the hardest decision of my life. I called my mother. For years, I told myself that she didn't care. She never called, never visited, and I hated the idea of calling her. But I couldn't stay here any longer, and maybe, just maybe, she would have some answers. When I dialed her number, my hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the phone. I had no idea what to expect. Part of me thought she would hang up or tell me she didn't care, but I was desperate and had no one else to turn to. To my surprise, she answered on the third ring, and what she told me is hard to put into words. At first, she was silent for a moment, probably just as surprised as I was that I had reached out to her. But then she said my name, and I already felt like crying. What followed was a conversation that turned my entire world upside down. I told her everything, about the neglect, the hunger, the harassment from Hannah, and my father's betrayal. At first, she just listened, but as I continued, her voice grew angrier and angrier. I could feel the rage through the phone, and it wasn't directed at me, it was at him. That's when she told me something I never expected. It turns out that my mom has been sending child support payments every month since the divorce, and guys, we're talking about significant payments, enough to cover everything I had been lacking: food, clothes, school supplies, and more. She assumed my father was using the money to take care of me. I could hear the shock and fury in her voice when I told her that not only was I working to feed myself, but I was also being forced to pay rent and do all the house chores. My dad had hidden everything from me so he could keep the money for himself instead of using it for me. Even though I thought my mom didn't care, I still believed she wanted nothing to do with me. But since she was the higher earner between her and my dad, she was forced to pay child support. She wasn't worried about me, she was furious that her money was being used for something else. Honestly, this whole thing just feels sad to me.